All right, hey, what's up, guys? Coach Mac, Play Fast Football. All right, today we're going to take a little look at a video where we're going to take a look at a shallow screen combined with a quarterback RPO with a fold or a wrap scheme. We're going to take a look at it versus your traditional overfront, and then I'm going to take a look at how you could possibly do it versus some of the odd front three high safety stuff and how we might have to change the read for the quarterback if we're playing three high teams from a linebacker push to a middle safety push. Make sure you check out some of our sponsors. GameStrat, all right, sideline replay company we use, all right, at all the schools I've been at in the last 6 to 7 years, we've used GameStrat. So if you're looking for a highly reliable, highly affordable sideline replay system, check out GameStrat. Baker Sporting Goods, which is a company that makes our coaches gear, all right, things like this, Adidas long sleeve, 3/4 zip. Our player spirit packs, our player uniforms are distributed from Baker Sports. You can put some fan items on a store that they could buy through Baker Sports, so make sure you check them out. Dome Headwear, which is the headwear company for Play Fast Football and the school that I am currently at, Bishop Kenny High School. They do our hats for Bishop Kenny, and they do my hats for Domes for Play Fast Football. So make sure you check out Dome. DifferenceUSA, the ultimate striking machine. We have a couple in the weight room here at Bishop Kenny. In the off season, you can work on elbows in, thumbs up, striking skills, mechanics, techniques, fundamentals, all the things you need to work on in the off season while in the weight room. You can also bring them out on the practice field and set them up, all right, out on the practice field. So make sure you check out DifferenceUSA. Just Play Football, which is the playbook we use, or the playbook tool, drawing tool we use here at Bishop Kenny, and I used it at the schools I've been at previously. It's got some unique features like quizzes where you can quiz your players on playbooks and game plans. You could probably quiz your assistant coaches as well. You could set some things up to where you quiz your assistant coaches on your playbook and your game plan for the upcoming week. And if I'm ever going to do any webinars or speak at any clinics, it's what I use as my presentation tool. So check out Just Play Football. HighandTight, which is a ball security training aid, all right, that is made to teach your players how to hold the ball in a proper position, proper points of pressure. You have to have all those things done correctly to hear an auditory beep. When you hear that beep, you know that you've got the ball secured high and tight where it belongs. If you lose any of the points of pressure, if the elbow comes out, if the wrist gets, all right, below the elbow down here, you're not going to hear the beep. As soon as you lose the beep, you know that there's a flaw in how you're carrying the football. So it builds that muscle memory for the kids to understand that that's the proper technique to hold the football. And then our newest partner, all right, TDPublishing, check them out. They have books and videos to help the coaching profession. They got a lot of great things going on right now. They just put out a wide zone video, put out a video on a 6-part series on Ferris State, the D2 champs. So they got a lot of great stuff at TDPublishing. So make sure you check them out as well, right? So we're going to take a look at pairing a shallow screen with a quarterback RPO, right? The best of both worlds. We've got, all right, the shallow screen set up if we like it. If we're going to read, we're going to treat this right now as a read away from Mike or a Ram theory. All right, so we've got it drawn up to typical overfront. All right, split field, middle of the field open coverage. All right, where we think we're getting some type of two high structure, some type of two read, or some type of deal where we know we're getting middle of the field open. All right, so we've got it drawn up right now with a traditional split to the front side and then a condensed split on the backside with 2 on, 1 off. And the reason we're going to condense the backside is we've got to get the shallow screen, all right, across, all right, to make the play effective. We've got to get the shallow screen where it needs to be. So we don't want to be doing it from too wide. Then because we're going to run it with a fold scheme or a wrap scheme. You don't necessarily have to, but we're going to draw it up with a wrap scheme right now. So you want the shallow to be able to clear before the wrap happens. So if you do it from a wider split, may not get there, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to pair it with tailback push motion, and we're going to see if we can get the mic to drop or match the push side, right? So a lot of the times when it's middle of the field open, 2 read palms or possibly even quarters coverages, a lot of times the mic is going to match the leverage of the back. So he's going to push and find a new number 3. All right, so we are going to set the 3 and the 5 on the front side. We're going to turn the center away. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn the center away. And originally we're going to turn the guard away because to match it with our protections, if we push the back out to the right, we would turn the center to the left. Okay, so if we were going to free release the back to the right, we would turn the center. So we're going to match that up. We're going to turn the protection. And then after the guard sets the open B gap, he's then going to fold back under for the will linebacker. Again, we're going to read, all right, if the mic pushes, we're going to take the number 2. You can go out to the corner or up to the safety. We're going to go up to the safety and leave corners unblocked, kind of like the Alex Gibbs theory of we don't block cornerbacks in the NFL. We are going to kind of treat that in the same fashion. So we're going to work our backside guy up to the number 2 receiver there. We're going to bring the number 1. He's going to have to blur the line of scrimmage. All right. In other words, traditional shallow cross or shallow route stuff, you would tell him to chase the heels of the D lineman. But when we're throwing shallow screen, because we're cracking and blocking the front side and we're putting bodies on their bodies, we have to throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So we've got to teach, all right, that wide receiver to blur that line of scrimmage, all right, and at least give the referees that kind of view of, hey, we're behind the ball, right? We can't teach it like shallow screen. If we chase the heels of the defensive line, we end up 2 yards down the field, 3 yards down the field. That's going to be easy for the refs to see. So we've got to kind of blur that line of scrimmage, all right, with our shallow cross guy, and we've got to get him there as quickly as we can, all right, because we are going to wrap the guard after the guard initially sets the open B gap. We're going to wrap him back under for the will, and we're going to read off the mic. So when the quarterback takes his drop here, if the mic has matched the leverage of the back pushed out, the quarterback will then run the rat theory, all right, inside, and that's going to be the quarterback run part of it, right? So if we can get the mic to match the leverage of 3, okay, and the mic pushes with 3, and again, this is what you would call a ram theory or a read away from mic theory, all right? So we're going to read the mic. If the mic matches the leverage, then what we're going to do is we're going to run quarterback wrap inside. If the mic doesn't match the leverage and the mic just kind of drops straight back, we're going to say that the shallow can cross the mic's face and beat the mic. And now on the front side, we've got everything blocked. We've got to get a good block with leverage here, all right, on that defender. So we're going to try and throw the ball past the mic, and we're going to try and get this ball to the shallow, all right, where we can create that alley on the front side with a push crack on the free safety. And now the tailback coming out of motion has got to get himself up on the corner. So now we feel like we've got everything blocked on the front side if we throw the shallow. So if we can get the shallow past the mic, and by making it an RPO deal, we're going to assume that we can get the shallow past the mic, because if the mic drops to the side of the push, we probably can't get the shallow past them. So we'll go ahead and run the quarterback wrap. If the mic drops more straight back, whether it be spot drop or something that is straight back, we're going to assume that the shallow can get across his face. And if the shallow can get across his face, then we're going to be okay throwing the shallow. All right. And now we haven't blocked the mic, so we've got to be wider than the mic when we catch the shallow. We've got the perimeter blocked on paper. We've got a hat on hat. We've got the perimeter blocked. All right. But the issue is going to be, can we get the shallow past the mic? So that's why we are going to run the ram theory, the read away from mic theory. All right. And we're going to see if the mic pushes, we're going to run the wrap. If the mic stays, we're going to go ahead and we are going to throw the shallow screen. Okay. So that's obviously, we love it versus 4 down. We love the angle and the leverage on the 1. Obviously, if we can get it, all right, if we can get the wrap to the side of the 1, and now we can get the guard under. If it was, the other way, depending on how we're hoping that they set the 3 technique to the back, all right, which a lot of even front teams like to do. So again, trying to use their rules against them. If they're going to set the 3 to the back for inside zone or run game theories or whatever they're trying to do, all right, if they want to set the 3 to the back, now when they set the 3 to the back, that's going to give us the leverage we want when we half slide and make the protection look like our full 5-step drop back progression where it's half slide, and we would 3 release the back and turn the center away from the back. Well, now when we show that, we turn the center, we turn the guard, but then we skip the guard back underneath the block of the turn back on the A shade or the 2I or whatever it may be there, because it matches our half slide protection. So our half slide protection would look that way. We're going to make it look the same, and then we're going to fold the guard late. So obviously, we like it versus this middle of the field open look. We like it versus teams that like to match the leverage with the Mike linebacker. All right. So if we think we're getting palms to read, or a team that's going to match the leverage with the Mike linebacker, then we can assume that we can read away from the Mike and use these types of theories with a quarterback RPO built into the shallow screen. Okay. And then, a little bit funkier version versus the odd front 3 high teams. Now you're going to start seeing guys are going to say all the time, oh, well, it's a great play versus, the even stuff. It's a great play when that's the front you're getting. What about when you start getting odd? Okay, so let's look at it from a 4-eye to the side of the back. All right, and let's look at it from the broken stack world at the air raid killers in the Big Ten, the Iowa States of the world, and teams like that are using. Okay, again, backside's going to be condensed because we need to get the shallow there. Now, this is where this will start to get a little bit funky, okay, because now in this protection, the 4i is going to give us some issues on the front side. All right, so this one will probably not match exactly the same protection with the center away from the push of the back, but that's because when you start getting odd front and you start getting the 4i's, at some point there's got to be leverage or big on big theories or fan theories at some point where you are, you know, either fanning guards out to the 4i's and tackles out, all right, to anything that comes off the outside, or you're working any type of full slide maybe or something along those lines because of the leverage of the 4i. It's hard to set. If we turn the protection back, we would have to set the tackle down on the 4i. And if we do that, we can't run the quarterback run inside. We don't have leverage to do so. We would have to pair the play with some type of different run scheme. All right. So if we're going to pair it with opposite of this shallow screen and we still want to carry it versus an odd 3 high look, what we're going to have to do is we're going to keep everything on the front side the same. All right. So we're going to push crack and we're going to push the back and match him up on the corner. Now what's going to happen is we're going to have to teach the quarterback in these 3 high theories. If that is the guy that's replacing the Mike linebacker in coverage, then that's the guy that we're going to want to read. So, all right, so this would be, all right, we can still say, maybe we can make it plural and it's a Rams theory. We're going to read away from the middle safety instead of reading away from the Mike. Okay. And now what we would probably have to do is we would probably have to, if that's a 5 on that side, we can pass set the 5, and now we're going to have to make it look like we are turning everything to the back here. And now what would happen is we're going to have to turn and get the tackle to skip pull for the Mike. And now what's going to end up happening is we are going to turn here, and it's going to be the reverse of the even front. The guard, the center, is going to have to set and fold back inside for the will. So now we're going to get the same theory here, blur the line of scrimmage with the shallow. Again, we're trying to get the shallow thrown somewhere in that vicinity there. The read's going to be away from the middle safety. And now we're going to make it look like, all right, some type of half slide away from the big on the 5. We're going to slide everything to the 4i. And now when we do that, we're going to have to double fold it versus the odd front. So there are some communication deals. There are some, what we would hope is we would hope that if we played a team that was this structure, this is the structure they were in. So we would work on the play this way in our rules and try to come up with the best blocking scenario to match the play up. If a team was an even front team, then we would block the play that way. And hopefully our kids each week could know how we're going to block it against odd structures or against tight structures or against, you know, whatever the case may be. All right. So if you're going to play a truly tight team with 2 4i's, you probably got to look at possibly double folding the tackles, but now the nose is going to be left by himself. And I don't know if you want to live in an RPO world, reading away from a safety running a Q wrap scheme. You'd like to get the nose double to the best of your ability. So 4i's are always going to make it a little bit tough. So this may not be a play that we carry against a true tight front team. We may need to know that they're going to give us a 5 technique somewhere in a shade and a 4i or something along those lines. But I just wanted to draw it up and show you how it's still possible to run the same theory. Just make the read now the middle safety, which I think a lot of teams are going to have to start figuring out when you're playing this 3 high stuff. If you're doing read away from Mike stuff and push in the back, and teams are going to play middle of the field safety 3 high deals and keep it similar to their split field theories, where it's middle of the field open and that safety gives you the disguise of middle of the field closed, but he's really matching the back vertical and he's matching the back on the push. If we know that this safety on the push motion is going to widen because he's got to become, all right, that player down where he needs to be there, okay. Now we've got to understand that what would probably happen is if that were the case, they would push the nickel and they would push there. So the nickel would push with the back. So now that would make that block a little bit easier. We're not going to be able to necessarily pin the nickel inside if they push everything that way. Okay. So it'd probably be the same deal. We would have to discuss with our kids the same way, you know, if we were looking at how we were going to get this done, if they were going to push, now we might have to crack wheel or do something different. So for argument's sake, if we knew we were going to get the double push, all right, because they are matching the back. So in other words, the apex is going to widen and leverage with the back, and the middle safety is now going to widen to find the new 3. If we want to get the shallow to the edge, we may have to run some type of deal, okay, where we now take the outside number 1 and run him on a snag path to crack. And now we take the 2 and run him almost on a rail wheel. All right. And we get him up on the safety there so that we have everything blocked inside, so that if the middle safety sits and doesn't widen, we want the shallow to be outside and kind of getting to the horn, getting outside. It's going to be the home run block out here on the corner. Obviously, I don't know what leverage exactly we'll have. We'll get a hat on a hat, but I don't know if we'll get all the leverage we need. Otherwise, it's going to turn into an alley play, which may not be a bad thing. If the Sam widens, all right, so your slot player is just going to have to be pretty good at understanding this. If the Sam widens to match the leverage of the back, now what's going to end up happening in the original diagram is we're going to be up there, and now we're going to have to end up turning out on the Sam, and now the shallow is probably going to be up in that window there. And again, it would be a play that the middle safety doesn't match. We think we can get the shallow out past the middle safety. All right, so it's obviously better if we can get this cracked inside, but realistically speaking, you have to know how the defense is going to react as well. So if they're going to push both players, all right, when they push that, now if they push the Sam out, okay, if they push the Sam out, now what ends up happening is it's going to be tougher to crack him. So the answer to that may be the snag crack with the rail up on the free safety there. So again, things like leverage and how you're going to block the perimeter and what you're trying to do, all right, are always going to be, plays that are basically living, breathing documents. They're going to happen on the fly. If they're going to match the leverage with the Mike, and then they're probably going to match the leverage with the nickel. So if the nickel pushes, we've got to have another answer. So maybe that week, if we're getting read away from Mike, push, now we'll go snag, crack to rail up on the safety. And so we can still get the ball outside the nickel. Because again, the theory is if we're reading the safety and he's inside as a sitter and not a pusher, all right, we want to get the ball out, all right, to the shallow. But keeping in mind, if they are teams that are going to push and the Sam's going to widen, well, if the middle safety widens, we don't have to worry about blocking the shallow screen because we're going to run the Q on the wrap inside. Okay, so I'm trying to kind of detail every nook and cranny of the play for people to say, all right, well, coach, if they push and they match, you're not going to have the leverage. The shallow's not going to be able to get to the perimeter because now the nickel has pushed. Well, yes, if that happened and we had to change the blocking scheme to that kind of snag, crack, rail, we could do that. But keep in mind, if it's an RPO in theory, if the nickel pushes, that means the middle safety or the Mike has also pushed and we're going to run the quarterback wrap. So we wouldn't necessarily have to worry about the leverage out there. But I'm trying to show you all the issues that you are going to have to combat and all the things that you're going to have to teach to your players. Because in theory, if the nickel pushes, you're hoping that the inside guy pushes and you run the wrap inside. If the nickel doesn't push, then you're hoping that the inside guy doesn't push. So again, if the nickel doesn't match leverage, and I would probably say if the nickel doesn't match leverage, you need to throw the ball to the back more. But if the nickel doesn't match leverage for whatever reason, let's say, for argument's sake, you might get a 2-deep team. And maybe the nickel doesn't match leverage of the back because the corner's sitting out there. All right. Well, now, if that's the case, all right, now, if that's the case, we're in good shape. Okay. We're in good shape if we can get that crack because he doesn't match the leverage. We can get that inside and up on the safety. Now, off the push motion, we've got to get on that corner, depending on how good of a press hard, jam funnel corner he is. And now we've got all the things that we want, because if that was the deal and they were playing some type of 2-deep structure, I would almost guarantee you that the guy you're reading is more of a deep middle hole player, kind of like a Tampa 2 theory. So now if that guy is a middle hole player dropping there, now what's going to happen is you're going to end up throwing the shallow screen, all right, because nobody widened with the leverage, and you should have the leverage to throw the shallow screen. Now, against the light box, you're probably going to look at it and go, well, coach, we have the numbers to run the quarterback wrap play, the quarterback pin pull inside run, G wrap, fold, however you want to look at it. Well, yes, we do. But if we're teaching it as an RPO off a read, the quarterback's going to make his decision off the read, not necessarily the numbers in the box. Now, if we know we're getting that box and we want to draw some type of scenario that looks like shallow and we know it's Q run, we could go ahead and do that. But this is a shallow screen with a QB RPO, so it's going to be red. So again, if that was the theory and you got a double cloud look Tampa 2. Well, then if the middle safety doesn't push with the back, we're going to throw the shallow. And now if the corner's out here, they're probably not going to match the leverage of the back. They may bump a little bit, but that means we should be able to get that crack. We should be able to get the shallow where we want it. And now we've got hat on hat, hat on hat. It's just a matter of executing the play. Okay, so that is a version of shallow screen with a quarterback RPO. Neat little theory that can get the ball into playmakers' hands. You can get the ball to the shallow screen guy. You're blocking people much like you would on a push motion flare to the back. You would block people and put body on body and make a safety, make a tackle if they're not going to honor the motion of the back, because you can throw it to them behind the line of scrimmage, because you can block people downfield with the ball behind the line of scrimmage. So it's the same thing with the shallow. We got to blur the line of scrimmage. We got to keep that receiver behind the line of scrimmage in order for us to carry the shallow screen component and physically block people downfield. And then we'll just tag a little quarterback RPO off the wrap scheme on the backside to make it, a little bit eye candy, make it a little bit more effective, so that we know no matter how they match the play, if they match the motion, we've got the run play. If they don't match the motion, we feel like we've got the shallow. Kind of puts us in a world where if we're getting the looks we think we're going to get in base downs and distance, obviously they can pressure, they can play man, they can do other things. I get it. We're talking about game plan, base down and distance, 1st and 10. This is the way they like to play 2x2 sets. It's a call that we can make and assure that our quarterback puts us in a good situation. So remember, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you subscribe to the channel. Make sure you turn your notifications on so you know every time a video comes out, or if I go on YouTube live like I did Saturday night, when your notification's on, you'll get that notification. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumbs down. Always comment, leave your comment. I have done videos in the past based off of people's comments. If you would like to hear me talk about something different, leave it in a comment. Or if you just want to comment and say, hey, coach, that play has no chance, it would absolutely never work, go ahead and leave that in the comment, because it's just opinion based. I'm not trying to sell you on any system or anything different. I'm just giving you my idea on some different things you can do in the game of football and how you can carry them inside of things that you already do. If your quarterback is a runner, if you carry RPOs, if you're a shallow screen team. Now we're just kind of packaging some plays together and living in the best of both worlds. All right. So I appreciate everything you guys do for me. Thanks for watching all these videos. Thanks for following on Twitter and doing all the great things you do for Play Fast Football. I appreciate it. Stay safe out there if you're getting ready for spring. Hope you have a successful spring season. Everybody stays healthy. Hopefully you can build it into your summer season. If you don't have spring football, then hopefully you're lifting and running, getting ready for the fall next season. And hopefully we're back to everything as normal, status quo, playing football and coaching football the way we know how to play it and coach it, with full stadiums and no capacities or no capacity restrictions or no restrictions on the crowd. All right. So remember, guys, you won't play well until you play fast. Thanks for everything you do for me, and I will see you next time.